The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome to Filmjitsu, the podcast that wields films like deadly weapons. We are your hosts. I am Jay.
And I am Mike.
On this episode, Mike reports back on just how strung up he was by 1999's Music of the Heart, Wes Craven's curious attempt at prestige cinema, starring Meryl Streep as an inner-city violin teacher, struggling single mom, and, depending on your perspective, the most determined Oscar hopeful of the late 90s. After that, we'll count down our bottom 5 musicians, bid farewell to a Jurassic-sized star of the silver screen with a game of kick two, pick two, and then I'll find out what kind of cinematic payback Mike has in store for me on our next episode. But before all that, let's roll the trailer for the only Wes Craven movie where the sharpest thing on screen isn't a knife, it's a violin bow. Music of the Heart.
You trying to kill me? Watch your food! Welcome to East Harlem.
I think I know these students. Their attention span doesn't go past do, re, mi. Maybe on a good day I can get them to fa.
I think you're underestimating them. Any child can learn to play the violin. Okay, that's enough. Thank you. You stunk.
I'm proud of you.
Out of 50 kids, maybe 6 are listening to me at all.
Hey, Monday, didn't you say no one was listening to you?
Yeah.
So, look at the progress.
You are a little too harsh.
Stop, stop, stop! That sounds terrible!
But I'm sure you might be able to soften your comments.
Well, that was not so bad.
Roberta, why are you acting like that?
Well, don't you want a nice teacher?
I already got nice teachers. You added some variety.
She gave them a gift they could never imagine. They gave the system a fight it would never forget.
Some think that music isn't important for our kids. But they are wrong. And they're gonna get a big fight.
Mike, every year around this time, it seems, I make it my solemn duty to continue one of Filmjitsu's most cherished traditions, the annual Streepening. For reasons that remain unclear even to me, I assign you a Meryl Streep movie that either seems wildly incompatible with your tastes, has developed a dubious reputation over the years, or is simply a fascinating cinematic oddity. Sometimes you surprise me, like when you didn't thoroughly hate Out of Africa. Mm-hmm. More often, you don't surprise me. I knew you'd probably love Mamma Mia. This year, however, there was an extra wrinkle because while Music of the Heart is very much a Meryl Streep prestige picture, it's also directed by none other than horror master Wes Craven. Yes, that Wes Craven, the man who gave us The Last House on the Left, A Nightmare on Elm Street, The People Under the Stairs, Scream, etc. Somehow he followed all of this up with an inspirational true story about an inner city violin teacher. So it's one of the strangest left turns in a major director's career. And considering Wes Craven built his legacy on suspense, I couldn't help but wonder if you would find the movie itself tense, or if the violin strings would end up being the only things under any tension in this film. What did you think, Mike?
I feel a little bit like a disappointment going into this review. I know that we have this whole like Meryl Streep shtick going on, but I'm starting to find myself at a loss for how many creative ways to say Meryl Streep is an extremely good actress in an otherwise not very good movie. And so with that in mind, and your setup was quite helpful, I've decided that I'm just going to kind of blow past the Streepness of the whole thing and focus on the late, great Wes Craven of it all. I do think that's the much more interesting part of this conversation. So thank you for teeing it up so nicely. Music of the Heart confirms what horror fans have known all along, which is that Wes Craven is a hell of a filmmaker. He had this really great eye for what to put in front of a camera to tell a story. And so for me, Wes Craven was never flashy. Wes Craven was never going to give that like big bravura complicated sequence. He was a pretty workman-like director. He just knew how to tell a story. And I think that for him, sometimes it was iconic monster makeup. Sometimes it was a standout performance. And whether the story was about a child murderer that kills you in your sleep or a New York City teacher fighting for her violin program, Craven always knew exactly what the story called for. And this movie isn't an exception. This is an extremely 1999 movie my mom would have liked. That's kind of where I landed on it, right? And as I thought about Craven beyond horror, I realized that more than anything, I think Wes Craven is kind of a humanist director whose native language just happened to be horror. But Music of the Heart, I think, is basically the non-horror version of a lot of the things that I think Wes Craven's films are interested in. This isolated person enters a hostile environment, faces institutional resistance, and fights to create a place where the vulnerable can survive.
Okay.
Here, the monsters are just replaced with school bureaucracy and poverty and budget cuts, right? Mm-hmm. But he's telling the story that I think that he wanted to tell. And so it's a crazy left turn, obviously, for a horror director, but I still see his fingerprints all over the movie, as different as it is from the usual Wes Craven fare.
Right. I think I differ with you on Wes Craven in general. I don't think that he's a particularly great director. I think he had a terrific mind for psychology, and I think that was one of the things that powered his narratives.
Yeah, and to be clear, I think what I was saying is I think he's a great storyteller. That was sort of the point, is that I think he tells the story that he wants to tell. But you're right, as far as a director goes, I think he's very workmanlike.
I don't even necessarily agree with you there. I don't think he's a particularly great storyteller. I don't think he's a particularly great filmmaker. I think he has really cool ideas here and there, right?
Yeah.
This was not one of them. And the way that this movie was put together and the way this movie was presented, I would be surprised if your mom would like it because it's so disjointed and so episodic and so boring and overlong and hard to access that character. And I do think it's worth talking about Meryl Streep personally. I do, because this is one of those examples where she was less being a character and more playing a character. And Meryl Streep can't really be a bad actress, but she can be an actress. And then very much here, you're seeing her act. It's surface level acting for the most part. And most of the scenes just don't work. Her character just doesn't work. The screenplay doesn't work. And Craven's direction is so banal that none of this really works.
Yeah.
Does it belong on our show? 100%. Is it more because of Wes Craven? 100%. Absolutely. Yeah. But we need to talk about the Meryl Streep of the thing as well.
I don't think that her performance here doesn't work. I think it's surrounded by something that doesn't make sense for the performance. She was Oscar nominated for this performance. It's not a bad performance by any means.
Not that we give that much credence, really.
Well, but I mean, it's certainly a data point worth talking about, right? I mean, it's not like they nominate 40 people a year. It's like Meryl Streep was in a movie and they nominated her for this performance. I think she is very good and very Meryl Streep in a movie that doesn't deserve her talents. And actually, I think her skill sticks out like a sore thumb. And I think that's to your point where you can see her acting, because I think if you put this performance in a movie that was worthy of what she's able to do, it might not have seemed so out of place.
Maybe. I think that with a better director, she would have been. This is the only time that Wes Craven had an actress that was nominated for an Oscar in one of his films.
Yeah, which is only notable in that there's not a single other movie where he would have made anything even close to an attempt to get an Oscar-winning performance. He's a horror director. But Music of the Heart is some pretty cookie-cutter stuff, and a lot of that falls on a pretty tepid screenplay by Patty Gray. The movie tries, I think, to minimize the great white hope of it all with Angela Bassett, who, again, a great actress, but her character in this movie as the principal is, in a lot of other movies, she would have been the jaded principal that had given up on the kids. And in this, she plays a character that is trying to support Meryl Streep's character to try to sort of give this community some agency, like to be a part of making this program. So it's not entirely like the Great White Hope rolled into the inner city town and created a violin program.
Well,
like
they address it directly in the screenplay where people are sort of accusing her of being that.
Yeah.
And then they realize, like, oh, okay, like Gloria Estefan sits down and eats a carrot stick next to her, and we're all like, oh, look, minorities are okay with her now.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But what I meant to say is the Angela Bassett supporting character, that is a character that says the community is a part of this.
Well, I think the parent characters, I think, do more than Angela Bassett does personally. But in this movie was filled with stereotypes, too. I mean, it's funny.
It was.
Our stereotypes are cliches, I should say. Where we just did that episode from Hot Dog of the Movie where we were talking about cliches. And there was a moment in this movie, like, first of all, one of the first moments you're in the, quote, inner city and all the rap music is playing and the kids are banging on the cab and stuff. It's just like, oh, my God. And then the one that stood out for me more than any other, and I couldn't believe it could have made our bottom 5 in our last show, when Angela Bassett is standing in her office after having an argument with Roberta, Meryl Streep's character, and Meryl Streep walks out, and Angela Bassett picks up her phone, just looks at it, puts it back down with force. It's that look at the phone and not know what to do with it, to just put it back in the cradle. That is one of the stupidest things that you see in movies. I want to take one of mine off and put that one on there.
It's also fair to point out that this is based on a true story and it was adapted from a documentary called Small Wonder. So this isn't all the imaginings of some great white hope storyteller. This is roughly based on what did happen in this very successful program. So, okay, fair enough.
She was just shown experiencing all of this adversity. And always working her way through it, but we never felt anything the whole time that she did. So this is a real story about Roberta Gasperi, right? But she never, in this movie, feels like a real person.
Sometimes this woman's just kind of like prickly and unkind, but not in a genuine way. Like she's sort of being a bitch to the kids, but it's like a shtick and they like it. Like when she's nice, it freaks them out. So she's just kind of being a jerk, but it's like she's putting on airs to be a jerk. So it's very disingenuous.
Yeah.
And I have no idea who this woman is ever, other than just like things keep happening to her.
Right.
And and other people show up and are like, well, let's have these things happen like together. And she's like, okay. And like the other teachers are like, the program's getting canceled. Well, what if we had a meeting and it didn't? And she's like, okay. And like, well, what's going to happen with that? Like, I don't know. We'll probably play Carnegie Hall or something. Like, and that's exactly what happens.
Yes, exactly.
It's probably worth pointing out that Hollywood sure does like to tell these kind of stories. And
oh boy,
this is no different. In fact, this isn't even the first time we've talked about Meryl Streep as the Great White Hope, because that's essentially the character she played in Out of Africa, which we reviewed in one of our very first episodes.
Yeah.
I think maybe the fact that it is based on real events takes a little bit of the ick off of it, but there's still something to be said for the kind of stories that Hollywood is interested in telling. I don't know that I would say this was a prestige film. When I think of a prestige film, I think of something maybe more technically showy than Craven is able to do, but I definitely see this as Oscar bait. I see it as Oscar bait. You know what I mean?
Same thing. I mean, like, I know you really like to define things very cleanly. Whether we call it a prestige or we call it Oscar bait, it's not something that he's well known for doing. Yeah. It really comes off as a TV movie almost. Like that's what it felt like for me.
I actually was interested. I had to go and check a little bit. I ended up watching this on Pluto, I think. And there are commercials. And there were times where I was like, did they cut content from the movie because it would it would come back and it almost seemed like I had missed something.
I know.
Like part of the story wasn't there. And I thought like, am I watching it on the wrong platform? No. And you're right. It does some really jarring things that are unusual for a story. Yes. And some of it, I want to give it creative credit, and others I'm just like, well, no, that's just sloppy in its execution. But there are some things like this. You talked about the episodicness of it all, right? And where this really goes wrong is we get almost these like different classes of students matriculating through this program. And the movie doesn't do a great job signaling the passage of time, other than all of a sudden the kids change and her hair's a little different. Right. But what happens is
suddenly her teenage son or whatever, right?
Like her son's growing up is really the best way we can kind of track this. But what happens is just as you get to start to care a little bit about the kids in this classroom, they disappear and new kids show up. And this happens 2 or 3 times. To a point where then the grown version of her first class come back at the end of the movie for like the big fundraiser concert. But even that doesn't really work. And so that was a weird episodic thing. The other thing that I thought was maybe a little bit more interesting was the Aidan Quinn romance plot, which was interesting to me in that we tee him up as a romantic interest. Then things don't really work out and he goes away. And just goes away. And then appears like at the big thing for like, hey, it all worked out. Now, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to try really hard to manufacture some credit for this, right? And I'm really doing the work here. But what I thought was a little interesting about that is like, not every person in your life has a great big farewell. Like people come in and out of your life. Romantic partners come in and out of your life. And this guy was around and it didn't work out and he went away and it didn't require some like big breakup scene or some big explanation. The movie was almost so disinterested.
She fired him.
Yeah,
Remember?
right. And it was like the movie was almost so disinterested in this aspect of its life that I wish it had had the guts to maybe just leave the romance subplots out entirely. But we have these like this other guy that she starts seeing along the way. And so while I wanted to say like, oh, I'm kind of interested in the fact that Aidan Quinn was there and then he wasn't and time passed and somebody else was and life is a little bit like that. But I think that's giving the screenplay way too much credit. And so
I think that were she to have any chemistry whatsoever with Aidan Quinn, that would have been a much more impactful relationship. They might be, it's funny because I was thinking about my bottom 5 and how easy I took it with bottom 5 musicians.
Sure.
Where this could have easily been like bottom 5 couples that have zero chemistry or something like that.
Well, and part of the problem here is this character that she's playing is prickly and unlikable,
rude,
but not in a way that's especially compelling. And again, I think because the screenplay really betrays Meryl Streep's talents, I think Meryl Streep is desperately trying to drag something good out of what was on the page. It only succeeds in as much as that Meryl Streep is a great actress, but man, can you imagine a less skilled performer in this role? It would have been unwatchable.
It could have been a lot worse. And you're probably right about that. Which is saying something because this was one of the worst movies I've seen in a long, long time.
Like it wasn't bad enough for me to get worked up about, but it wasn't good enough for me to be interested in. Like I just felt like I watched a movie that my mother would have been like, that was great, because that's what she said about any movie where somebody didn't get their head cut off. It felt like ChatGPT did its homework and that's what you got.
It really was something that wasn't paced correctly, wasn't written correctly, wasn't portrayed correctly. And then when it managed to achieve some level of interest or emotional, there was a scene where a child dies, one of the kids from the class had died. And that is a profoundly moving moment in a film that otherwise was pretty devoid of them.
That's so funny, man. We are very different people.
That moment hit. And I loved the interplay that she had with the kid that was mocking the kid that died.
Yeah.
And she goes to his house and they have this moment. I felt myself getting emotional, fade to black. We're on to the next chapter in her life.
So this is funny because that moment for me, I just got done saying that this movie didn't work me up at all. That particular beat was the eye-rolliest part of the movie for me because I didn't feel like it earned any of it, because we meet this kid for a few scenes. Again, like we've barely gotten to know any of these kids. We meet this kid and he's kind of the naughty kid in class. And then one day they walk in and they're all kind of sad and they're like, oh, he got killed in a drive-by. And it was like, it reminded me of the scene in The Room where the mom's like, well, the doctor called and I definitely have breast cancer. It was like, it was so unearned.
For me, it wasn't the way that they rolled out that news or anything. I agree with you. I think that it was the children and the interplay with that
Ramon.
one kid,
Ramon.
the interplay with Kim, Ramon, like that worked for me. Even seeing him in his room practicing the violin, right? Because that's the funny thing. Violin produces a lot of emotion. That's the cool part of an instrument like that. This movie doesn't produce emotions, which pisses me off because it's filled with violins. By the end of the thing, they're at Carnegie Hall and they're all playing violins and I want to feel something and I can't. And I'm just so frustrated with the film that it's just wasted all of this time. Ishtok Perlman is on stage, right? Like it's got everybody and it's fucking boring. And I was waiting for it to end. It's an audacious over 2 hours, this film, which easily could have been a 90-minute movie and probably would have been better for it. And it cemented my feelings about Wes Craven that Scream is his best directed film.
I'd agree with you. Yeah.
The first few minutes of Scream with Drew Barrymore are among the best things that probably the best thing he ever did.
I'll give you that.
He needs good screenplays to be really good.
Yeah.
Even Red Eye, right? Red Eye was a fun, tense thriller. Is it well directed? Meh.
Yeah, you wouldn't look at that and be like, that's a Wes Craven film if you didn't know.
The reputation that he built as a horror director is the more important thing here.
Yeah.
The reputation that Meryl Streep has built as an actress who becomes her characters is well earned. Neither one of them do good work here.
Streep's 12th Oscar nomination, which tied Katharine Hepburn at the time, right? She lost to Hilary Swank for Boys Don't Cry. That makes a shitload of sense to me.
That makes sense, yeah.
This was also the American Beauty year, so she was up against Annette Bening. Kind of a surprise at the time, but given who she was up against, and fair play to Hilary Swank.
Oh, for sure.
Was this a bad movie? Yeah, it sounds to me like it got under your skin in a way that it didn't for me. I felt like I was able to just tolerate this fine.
Santa, what are you getting worked up about?
I think if I'm going to get worked up about anything, it's this. Time will only ever give us so many Meryl Streep performances, right?
Yes.
Performances by great actors are finite. And so anything that wastes one of those opportunities and gives us a music of the heart is a real goddamn shame, because it could have been a great Meryl Streep film and instead it was music of the heart.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So, Mike, after the last 20 minutes or so talking about music of the heart, I realized that there were probably a dozen different bottom fives hiding inside that movie. It could have been like bottom 5 Oscar Beatty type films.
Yep.
Or maybe like bottom 5 single parents could have been one. I think I mentioned earlier, bottom 5 movies with zero romantic chemistry, like something like that.
Bottom 5 single moms is a real punchy down kind of list. Let's never do that one. Jesus.
That's a rough one. But of course, I looked at this one and did the basic math and was just like, well, it's why not musicians, obviously, right?
Right.
What was your approach here?
I started with a couple of different concepts and then kind of abandoned them. Like I wanted to see if I could put together a list of musicians that were bad at music. That wasn't a 5 selection kind of list that was interesting the whole way through. And so I think like the more I tried to narrow it down, the less interesting it became. And so I just sort of swung the gates open and said, let's just see what happens.
Yep.
So how about then, Jay, why don't you start us off and tell us your number 5?
Well, I want to start with one that's a little bit lighter, and it's from the 1986 film Crossroads. It's the guitar duel movie with Ralph Macchio.
Oh,
no, he's like a blues guitarist.
Isn't there a Britney Spears movie called Crossroads?
There is. Oh my God. Yes. This is not that one.
Okay.
And it's not even that like Ralph Macchio is a bad actor or anything like that, or that Crossroads is a bad movie. It's not. I kind of have a soft spot for the flick. I think it's good. It's a Walter Hill directed film with a screenplay by John Fusco with guitar legend Ry Cooder, who I love, handling all the music, and Steve Vai showing up as Satan's own Shredder in one of the great guitar showdowns in movie history. So it's really cool. The problem, though, is Ralph Macchio. Macchio had to spend the movie convincing us that he was this aspiring blues guitarist capable of eventually going toe-to-toe with the devil's champion. And while he worked hard, there's only so much editing can do.
Yeah, I have seen the scene.
You have? Okay, all right. Yeah. Because musicians have been pointing this out for decades, that his fingering and his picking and timing, they just don't line up with what we're hearing. And once you notice it, it's really hard to stop noticing it.
Yeah, and you don't have to be a great guitar player to see it. Like, even just a lay person, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. It looks like when little kids play the guitar.
Correct. It looks like air guitar is what it looks like, right? So the music is phenomenal. It's a great film. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. It's just that the illusion at the end doesn't quite survive the close-ups. And so my number 5 was Eugene Martone, the musician, in Crossroads.
Well, it's a good pick, and it also kind of helps explain something that I think is kind of important to the rest of my list, which is that bottom 5 musicians don't have to come from bottom 5 movies, right? You can have bottom 5 musicians in very good films. That's certainly how my number 5 works out. I'm going with Dale and Brennan, better known as Prestige Worldwide from Step Brothers.
It's so good.
Right? Right? Do they deserve to be on this list? Of course they do. Boats and Hose alone is enough, right? Dale plays the drums. Brennan sings. He's the voice of a generation. And while Dale thinks it's possible that Brennan takes on the shape of a unicorn when he sings Bonnie Raitt, decidedly the audience does not. But I could only give them the number 5 spot on my list because, God damn it, if they don't save the fucking Catalina wine mixer in the end. And so, with absolutely no malice in my heart, Prestige Worldwide is my number 5.
Boats and Hose.
Thank you so much for introducing Prestige Worldwide into the Filmjitsu pantheon. I think that might be one of the greatest things that's ever happened on one of our bottom 5s. My number 4 goes in a completely different direction, and a more serious one, I think, in that too. I'm going with Becky Something from 2018's Her Smell. Someone who is an incredible musician, but maybe one of the most self-destructive artists ever put in a film.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Moss plays Becky Something, the lead singer of a riot girl punk band that's already beginning to implode when the movie starts. Over the next 2 hours, she wages war on virtually everyone in her orbit, her bandmates, her manager, her family, her record label, and perhaps most of all, of course, herself. She's talented enough that you understand why everyone keeps giving her one more chance. But addiction, and paranoia, and narcissism, and untreated mental illness slowly turn every room she enters into a disaster zone. Director Alex Ross Perry intentionally shot much of the film in these long, claustrophobic takes that trap you inside Becky's emotional spiral. And it's exhausting by design. Elizabeth Moss gives one of the bravest performances of her career. And I got to tell you, you may never want to spend another minute with Becky Something, but that's exactly the point.
That's such a good pick, and I wish I had thought of it. And to say, giving one of the boldest performances of her career, that is really saying something if you're talking about Elizabeth Moss.
I know.
Right?
Yeah,
that is
for
saying something. What a good pick. Well, my number 4 is Not quite that, but I will absolutely stand by it, because when I think about movies and I think about movie musicians, a few titles immediately come to mind, right? This is Spinal Tap, the Blues Brothers, and now Sinners.
Oh.
And Sinners doesn't have one of the greatest musical scenes ever put on film. I think it has two of them.
That's
First,
right.
there's the I lied to you sequence, where the music transports the characters and the audience across time and space, connecting generations and cultures of musicians in one of the most incredible scenes a movie has offered us in ages, right? It's a
the definition of bravura.
Yeah. But then there's also the amazing Rocky Road to Dublin scene.
Yeah. That's
led
good too.
by my number 4 pick, the vampire trio of Remick, Joan, and Bert.
Yeah.
These traveling musicians, they lead this vampire horde outside the juke joint in a traditional Irish song and dance while their eyes are glimmering like predators in the moonlight. It is really stunning. And honestly, if it wasn't for the I lied to you sequence, this thing would get all the credit, which is just tells you something about that other sequence, because this to me is just very nearly equally as gorgeous. What makes Remick's trio such a fascinating bottom 5 is the contradiction at its core. Remick talks about how powerful people stole the music of his Irish ancestors throughout history, trying to create this kind of kinship with the black folks of the Jim Crow South. But he isn't interested in a shared experience or preserving anybody's culture. He wants to consume it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone he turns loses their identity and becomes another voice in his choir of vampires. And he tries to use his music to seduce people in giving themselves up to him, both literally and figuratively, right? And he condemns this theft of his music and tries to lure these oppressed Black Southerners into giving him what he wants, which is pretty much committing the ultimate act of cultural appropriation, right? Like not just stealing their songs and their culture, but literally stealing the artists themselves.
Yeah.
And in Sinners, he's kind of like history's first record executive, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
He wants to take the power that these people have and feed off of it for his own selfish reasons. And he doesn't care that it isn't his to begin with, because he's a blood-sucking vampire.
That's right.
The movie, and especially this character, is operating on a lot of levels, but I certainly think that Remick and his vampires have earned a spot as bottom 5 musicians. And so Remick and his vampire horde are my number 4.
And these guys suck.
Yeah.
So not suck as musicians, but suck. So literally suck.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
We'll move on from there. And I'll move on to another musician that sucks, or at least in my mind, he does. And that's Alex Fletcher from 2007's Music and Lyrics. Okay. This one's probably one of my hotter takes, because I actually do like music and lyrics. I think Hugh Grant is always charming for me. I know he's not a good sell for you. You're not really into him. Drew Barrymore is always delightful to me as well. And the chemistry between these two is pretty great. It's a very easy movie for me to throw on whenever. But the movie does keep insisting that Hugh Grant's washed up 80s pop star, Alex Fletcher, is some kind of once in a generation songwriting genius. And I just don't buy it. The songs are catchy enough for a romantic comedy, but they're not remotely good enough to justify the reverence the movie has for Alex's talent.
I've been hiding all my hopes and dreams away, just in case I ever need them again someday. I've been setting aside time to clear a little space in the corners of my mind. All I wanna do is find a way back into love.
It's almost a victim of its own premise. If you're going to make a movie about an extraordinary songwriter, the songs themselves better be extraordinary. But credit where credit's due, Pop Goes My Heart is an absolute earworm. It has no right being as good or as funny or as memorable as it is.
You will be unsurprised to find out that I've never seen this movie.
Yes, I'm
but
unsurprised.
Based on the fact that Hugh Grant is the lead here, I'm willing to assume that you are absolutely right about this.
You saw Love Actually finally because of me.
Yep.
Remember Christmas is All Around?
It's that.
Yeah, basically.
All right. Yeah. Well, there you go. Fair enough. My number 3, Jay, I'm actually glad that we're finally here because in our main review of Music of the Heart, I had a really hard time discussing that movie without referencing this. In Music of the Heart, we have a generationally talented actress playing a violin teacher. In my number 3, we have a generationally talented actress playing a conductor. It's Cate Blanchett as Lydia Tarr in 2022's film Tar. As a world-renowned conductor, her talent is unquestioned. Her flaw is basically everything else, right?
Yeah.
Lydia weaponizes her prestige to manipulate her proteges, exploit the power imbalances in her life, cultivate the mythology around her own kind of identity and importance, right? Her own genius. And it's all just so gross. Lydia Tarr is pretty much the musical equivalent of Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah,
and this movie came out right around the time that the Me Too movement was really very much on people's minds. But she believed that the rules don't apply to her because of her musical genius and that her genius is more important than the people making the music. And the tragedy of the whole thing is that Lydia never loses her gifts. She loses her audience.
Yeah.
She thinks that her musical brilliance buys her moral immunity. It doesn't, obviously. And the sad part is that her downfall is how much she deserved it. She's a brilliant musician, but the world is robbed of her talent because at her core, she's kind of a monster. And so the movie ends with this generationally gifted character doing the music for a video game. I will always take the opportunity to talk about this movie and talk about this character. I think she fits perfectly on this list. It is still mind-blowing to me that a movie this good and a performance this good didn't win any Oscars. This movie happened to run into the Everything Everywhere All at Once buzzsaw, so fair enough, right? Fair enough.
Yeah.
But it was nominated a bunch. But this for me is like, this is the character that I wanted Meryl Streep to be in Music of the Heart. Not exactly, you know, one for one, but a character that is this complicated.
Yes. Well,
like,
I mean, to be fair, Meryl Streep learned how to play fucking violin for the movie, right? Like that, we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible, right?
Right.
It really is a sign that Meryl Streep can probably do just about anything if you ask her to do it.
Yeah.
And I think Cate Blanchett is very much that level of talent.
Absolutely. This movie to me proved you could have made a complex movie about a complex musician.
Yeah.
And the proof is Tar.
Frustrated that I didn't think of it, but again, I was trying to keep my list pretty diverse, and that would have kind of echoed my Her Smell or perhaps something else that I have later. My number 2. Sometimes a movie becomes so fascinated with its star that it forgets why it exists in the first place. My number 2 is definitely that, and it's when Kevin Spacey played Bobby Darin in 2004's Beyond the Sea.
Yeah.
This was Spacey's passion project. He directed it, co-wrote it, co-produced it, and naturally he cast himself as Bobby Darin.
Sure, yeah.
There's just one problem. Spacey was 45 years old when production began. Bobby Darin died at 37. The film asks us to believe Spacey as a teenage idol, a young nightclub sensation, and a rising recording star, despite looking considerably older than virtually everyone around him.
Yeah.
It's one of those casting decisions where every scene feels like you're watching someone trying very, very hard to convince you of something that simply is not true. The irony is that Spacey can actually sing. He commits completely to the performance, and there are flashes where you see the movie he wanted to make, but the entire production becomes an exercise in self-mythologizing. It doesn't celebrate Bobby Darin nearly as much as it celebrates Kevin Spacey's belief that he was born to play Bobby Darin.
There are scenes in that movie that are like Saturday Night Live when they dress the adults up as kids by just kind of putting wigs on them. And you're like, we're kids now. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's like
I know.
Saw when they put that backward hat on Tobin Bell. Oh, boy.
My number 2 are the Black Roses. Black Roses is an absolutely awesome 1988 film about a bunch of demons posing as a rock band that turn all the kids in town into Satan-worshiping psychos that try and kill their parents. It's directed by John Fasano, the same guy who gave us the much better known Rock and Roll Nightmare, a movie I know you and I both love, right? But I think that the Black Roses is a much better fit for this list. What I love about this is the showmanship of it all. The band doesn't sneak up on this little town, but instead they openly promote a huge 3-day rock concert that whips the whole town into a frenzy. Then they start taking over when they get there. And what I love is this movie, the premise of this movie is like, what if Tipper Gore and all the parents who thought rock and roll was Satan's music were literally correct? Right. Like that sort of thing. It leans so hard into this premise that the trailer has this really great line that says, if rock and roll is the devil's music, then the Black Roses are the house band. How cool is that? Right?
That is great. Yeah.
This movie is just outrageously fun, and it represents an entire genre of films for me. Those 80s rock and roll horror films that never disappoint, no matter how bad they are.
Trick or Treat, anyone?
Yeah, exactly. It feels like if I'm putting a list together, the genre needs to be represented. And for me, the Black Roses deserves a spot on the list for all the right reasons.
I saw that video box so many times when I was young, and I never rented it. And now I am going to add that to my media library right quick.
You're going to love it. I can't wait.
My number 1, it's Ike Turner, played by Lawrence Fishburne in What's Love Got to Do with It?
Oh, wow.
From 1993.
Yeah. Good pick.
Yeah. This one seems unfair because, like many of your musicians that you've mentioned, Ike Turner was not a bad musician. He was an exceptional musician. He was an innovator in rhythm and blues. He was a gifted band leader, and he was one of the architects of early rock and roll. He was also, by virtually every credible account, an absolutely horrific human being.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne delivers an unbelievable, towering performance, capturing Ike's charisma, volatility, and terrifying capacity for abuse without ever turning him into a cartoon. The film, based on Tina Turner's autobiography, depicts years of physical violence, psychological manipulation, and relentless control over the woman whose career he simultaneously helped launch and destroyed. It's one of those rare performances where you find yourself wanting to look away while simultaneously being unable to. So why is Ike Turner my number 1 worst musician? Because eventually the person behind the music does matter.
Yeah.
If we're judging musicians as people and not simply by what came out of the speakers, it's awfully difficult to imagine anyone topping Ike Turner in real life or in film. So that is why he made my number 1.
It's such a good pick, and I am just so glad that we ordered our list the way that we did and that I get to close us out because
good.
If we had ended on that note, it would have been a real fucking downer because you're so right. You're so right about it. But I was like, oh man, it's a good thing we got one more after that because
it's supposed to be a fun podcast, Santo.
No, it's just like Ike Turner. Holy shit. You're so, dude, I don't know what performance enhancing drugs you're taking lately, but your bottom fives have been out of this world good. I spent all week. It's the Blue Chew. Yeah, it's the Blue Chew. I've been walking around all week, Blue Chew notwithstanding, going enhance for everything. So there you go. Santos Blue Chew enhance pills. That's fine. Well, thank goodness I get to close us out here with my number one, because we've all heard the expression, don't meet your heroes. Well, I'm not sure I personally subscribe to that wisdom, but I think in the case of my number one, it makes a lot of sense. It would have been a travesty to have done this list without talking about Rex Manning from 1995's Empire Records.
Oh, yes.
Rex Manning is the embodiment of the has-been pop star trying to convince himself that he's still relevant. And in Empire Records, he's coming to do an in-store appearance to promote his latest single. Some of the staff are excited that it's Rex Manning Day. Everyone else makes fun of what a punchline he is. Liv Tyler's Corey made up her mind that she's going to lose her virginity to Rex Manning, only to discover that he is an absolute pig. His music sucks. His wardrobe sucks. His haircut sucks. He's just this enormous, pompous asshole who's in it for the groupies. And I think it speaks volumes about this character.
Yeah.
That every year, the internet people still recognize April 8th as Rex Manning Day. And so that washed up 80s sleaze, Rex Manning, is easily my number one.
Great way to round it out. A fun bottom five indeed. Those listening to the show, we'd love to hear from you. If you write to us at j@filmjitsu.net or mike@filmjitsu.net, we would be so happy to know who your bottom musicians might be. So please go ahead and send them on over to us. Again, that's j@filmjitsu.net, mike@filmjitsu.net, or leave a comment right on the website. Mike, after a string of weeks in 2026 where we've been able to play Dueling Double Bills, we find ourselves in the unfortunate position now of having to pull out Kick 2 Pick 2 because we have lost a really fantastic star of the silver screen, the one, the only Sam Neill. You know him from his voice. You know him from that steely-eyed look that he has. He never had a particular lot of hair, and he always could pull it off so well. Yep. It didn't matter.
Yep.
All that aside, there's a lot of movies that I really love with this man in them.
Yeah.
Some which other people don't love, but I love. But what I tried to do was pick 4 movies that I knew you've seen and I've seen, and I felt like they really are representative of his career.
Sure.
In some. So I'm going to go ahead and read off 4 movies, and we can only keep 2, throwing the other 2 into
the Forbidden Zone.
The Forbidden Zone, right. So, number 1, of course. What is it, Mike?
Is it just going to be Jurassic Park?
Yes, of course, it's Jurassic Park, right. Of course. Alan Grant, how can we not? Number 2, can you guess number 2? I'm just curious. I wonder if you can guess these.
Event Horizon.
Yes, Event Horizon.
Okay.
Absolutely is going to be number 2. Number 3.
I'm going to guess In the Mouth of Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness is on here. Yes.
Okay. Yep. Good.
And number 4. What would you do for number 4?
I'm not sure. I'm stuck with this one.
So In the Mouth of Madness was a flex pick for me. Okay. Because I am a huge fan of Dead Calm.
Okay.
Which I thought was one of the greatest, most taut thrillers from director Philip Noyce, starring an early turn from Nicole Kidman and Billy Zane and Sam Neill. And let me tell you, it's just them. It's just the 3 of them.
Out in the ocean. Right.
On a boat.
Okay.
Absolutely brilliant thriller, but we're not going to talk about Dead Calm. That's as much as we're going to talk about Dead Calm. We're keeping Dead Calm. I'm not putting it up
for
the Kick 2 Pick 2. What I did decide is a movie that I know you did see, and that's Possession.
Oh, okay. That was the other one. that was almost my guess. Possession.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep.
Okay.
So let's just go right back here and say again, because holy shit, this is going to be a really difficult one. Jurassic Park, Event Horizon, In the Mouth of Madness, and Possession.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of neat to see that these are all genre pictures.
Yeah.
They all have unbelievably frightening moments. I know each one of these movies frightened me in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
I think In the Mouth of Madness, perhaps less so than the other three.
Sure.
But the nihilistic sort of ending to it was one of the things that kind of shocked me. With Event Horizon, it was one of the scariest films I think I had ever seen in the theater.
Did your mom take you when you were 6?
No, I took myself to see that one. Possession was one of them. I caught up with it, obviously, many, many years after it was released. It was released forever ago.
81. Possession and Mike Merrigan, born in the same year.
Oh, my gosh. Wow, that's wild. He and Isabelle Adjani together in this film of just the most estranged relationship, the most weird, unsettling, and yet they're both so intense. And I think what's interesting about that is when we do kick two, pick two, a lot of times, you always have to remind me, it's not the movie, it's the person that we're doing it for, or whatever, right? And in this case, I would have a hard time kicking it because of Adjani, less because of Sam Neill. He's outstanding.
Yeah.
There's no question. He's pivotal to the success of this movie.
Yeah.
But he is second banana by a long stretch to the
I think so.
Insane performance from Isabelle Adjani.
Yeah, and I would even say he might even be third banana to the color palette that Zulawski is putting out there. I mean, that film is great for a lot of reasons. Sam Neill might get the bronze medal for me on that list. So while I love the pick, that is one for me that I don't know is going to survive the cut. It's hard for me as I look at these. Jurassic Park stands way out, right? As being very different from the others. And it's a genre movie for sure, but it's not terrifying the way that a couple of these others are. I'm really on the fence about Jurassic Park because...
No way.
Well, if we're really talking about a Sam Neill performance, right? Like Jurassic
but he's
Park.
so good, no.
He is so
with the
good.
seatbelt. Come on.
I know.
Man, I don't know. He and Laura Dern have such great chemistry together too. I feel like.
Well, and here's why I think maybe it is worth keeping is because film nerds like you and I love Sam Neill performances. But if we get rid of Jurassic Park, then you're just average, everyday movie going schmo isn't going to really know Sam Neill anymore. You know what I mean? Like we know Dead
because
Calm.
you're getting rid of Jurassic Park 3 at the same time. What was the one he came back?
I don't know.
In one of those ones.
Dominion, Explorer, Elantra.
Dominion.
Elantra? Jurassic Park.
Equinox.
Yeah, I did like Camry. I don't know which one it is. I'm losing track, but
Jurassic Park Camry.
But I think for me, I think I know where I'm going to go on this.
Okay, do it.
I think I'm going to keep Jurassic Park because I do think that the world at large deserves to know Sam Neill, and that's the way they're going to do that. And for me, I'm keeping Event Horizon. Event Horizon is terrifying. Event Horizon is messy. It's complicated. It's fucking weird. But it is Sam Neill at his most unhinged. Like, he's unhinged in Possession for sure. In Event Horizon, not only is he taken off the leash, they have lit the leash on fire and thrown it at you.
I think what's cool about Event Horizon is it's essentially the black hole, but done for horror fans in a serious way. I think I agree with both of your picks.
Wow.
I think that there's not much to say about In the Mouth of Madness. It's part of Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. It's a great film.
It is.
He does have a terrific performance in it. Do you read Sutter Kane? You know, I mean, like, there's some great stuff in that film.
The look that he gives when he's in the straitjacket and his hair's all crazy and those blue, like, piercing eyes where, he's very,
so good.
He really has like almost like a Nicholson vibe in that,
that
thing.
Yeah. But I think that if we're talking about films, I agree with you about Jurassic Park. I don't think you can cut Jurassic Park. He becomes that guy instead of Sam Neill.
Yeah.
And I don't want that.
Yep.
I think Sam Neill deserves more. And I think Event Horizon's probably the best performance by him, even if I always used to comment on how when in Event Horizon he had to describe how traveling through a black hole would work. And he folded paper and then punched a pen through it.
Yep.
Right? To show 2 points in space, how they would fold and then you could go through it.
Travel through it.
Which is a really cool metaphor, but he didn't buy it one bit in that moment when he was selling it. He did not look like he believed it at all. That always stuck with me. But yes, the rest of the film, absolutely he did. So, and it is the only really great movie by Paul W.S. Anderson. I think it might be maybe the only good movie he really made.
And think about it for a second. Can you imagine what an absolute disaster that movie would be if it
Without
had
him?
anybody other than Sam Neill in that role? Like, oh my gosh.
I
It's a mess.
disagree. I think Kate Quinlan's in there still. And again, we're mentioning Lawrence Fishburne. So
for sure. But the movie is so it's so grounded by how solid Sam Neill is that I think if you kept all the other pieces around and then you had a less competent actor than Sam Neill to play that role, I think it would have been maybe like laughable in a way that movie is decidedly not on the strength of his performance.
It's a terrifying film.
It really is.
And I will say, Jurassic Park, when I saw it, was one of the most suspenseful films I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yep.
When those kids are trapped and that T-Rex comes down, oh my God. So we're going to go ahead, and I think we agree, which is awesome. I love that.
Good.
Jurassic Park and Event Horizon make the cut. Possession and In the Mouth of Madness, off to the Forbidden Zone. It's a sad loss, but so is Sam Neill. We tip our hat to you, sir. Thank you for everything.
Jason, my favorite time in the show is when I get to tell you what movie you have to watch for our next episode.
Yeah.
We're having a summer with some big blockbuster movies. The Odyssey is tearing up the box office.
Yeah.
And Steven Spielberg released Disclosure Day. And any Steven Spielberg movie is an event. We were just talking about Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the original blockbuster. A story written in 1898. It's had at least 8 feature film adaptations, television versions, and at least one extremely notable radio broadcast.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds might be the original blockbuster.
Oh, shit.
But nothing.
Oh,
even an all-time classic is immune from ending up a shitty movie.
Oh.
And based on your reaction, I can tell that you know this. 2025's Ice Cube, Eva Longoria, and director Rich Lee made exactly that. Destroyed by critics, stuffed with more Amazon product placement than you could possibly imagine, and a 5-time Razzie winner. Yep, you are watching 2025's War of the Worlds.
God damn it. Hey, you beat me to it.
It had to happen.
This would probably have come up within your next 2 or 3.
I think so.
It was going to be, son of a...
It feels like a summer movie, right? Like we need to have a big kind of summer blockbuster kind of thing.
Oh, it's so blockbustery, right? What's going to be the bottom 5?
The bottom 5, Jason, for this then is going to be a little bit of a challenge, because the one thing that I have heard about a time and time again with War of the Worlds is all about the product placement.
Oh,
and
the worst
so
product placements.
What we are going to do here is bottom 5 products placed in a film. Bottom 5 product placement.
That's going to be hard.
It's not going to be nearly as hard as you think. I think you had like a whole website about this once upon a time. I swear to God. This is something that you think a lot about. You did. Yeah, you did. Yep.
Oh, I have products placed.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and so
I forgot about
know
that
you're a guy who knows a thing or two about product placement in a movie, and it is usually pretty bad. And so to go along with War of the Worlds, we are going to do our bottom 5 product placement.
I love it. I think you're taking a slight jab at my employer, but
I'm really not trying to.
I'll let it go.
I'm really not trying to.
I think they did that to themselves, to be perfectly honest. But I hope that our listeners return when I have to review War of the Worlds with Ice Cube. and we count down our bottom 5 product placements. But until then, we've been your hosts. I am Jay.
And I am Mike.
And we'll see you next time.
Dawno mislim na te, hoću znat sve karte, vježbat ću sate i sate. Karate, vježbat ću dok zadnji mi kjaj zostane izađe.
You fucking idiot. Oh, you bastard. I can't believe you beat me to War of the Worlds.
Yeah, I know. But I really tried to get around this product placement because it's all Amazon. And I was all about it. And then I was like, oh, fuck, I'm just making Santo shit talk Amazon. He fucking works for Amazon. This isn't going to be great.